Now, this is the stuff that everybody sees, but all the shadow work and all this, but it's all this layout before that makes this work. All I'm doing now is focusing our attention at certain areas that lets us not see all the other stuff. So if I can get a shadow from this tree to come down this bank and carve that, so I may just literally take a knife and make sure that I don't have too much wet paint there. I'm going to have that shadow come down and help contour that land. I'm going to work here to have that trunk work, and probably do the same thing over here, get this area really interesting. Then this may be sufficient information to hold the rest of that painting together. That's what I'm hoping. So I'm going to try to do that now. That means getting a nice cool shadow, a dark cool shadow down across this edge. And remember, where the tailing edge is more important, so I'm going to make sure that's crisp. And the front edge I'm going to break up with some grass. A little hard for me to see from that angle, but I'll rough it. And I want each of these trees to hug the ground a little bit, so I'm going to have the sunlight come in and spill up the trunk this way. Hold it there and come across and be shadowed there. And just sort of see if that's going to work. It's still a little wet. This may not be the final go around on this painting, but it's going to give us a good idea, get us closer. So we see that open up as a shadow. At this point, I'm using a lot of paint in little strokes. It's a little strong, isn't it? So by drawing attention to the sunlit side of this tree, just a light, airy brush that should pick up some light and some color. Tell me how I'll finish this guy off. That's a little sharp. I'll play with that a bit back and forth. But I'm happy with it now, and then I'll come over here and work with that, which means a much smaller brush. Get some pretty color in there for the water. Take it right up behind that tree. And if we're going to do that, then this tree has to be a little darker so we can see it. It worked once, let's try it again. So we get that water to come back behind the tree. See the landmass in front. And the tree hold the ground. And the reason I'm working so hard on this is going to be, I hope, sufficient to hold the whole painting. So I'm working pretty hard to have enough contrast in these areas to focus our eye and keep us off the rest of that. So, and this may take another layer, so I'm just going to drop in a dark right now. And that means I'm going to go against the shape. So at this point, I'm still going to Just real lightly give myself a nice horizontal dark for that. Maybe separate this. Just enough to really make it so we can see it from across the room. And that means this tapered down pretty abruptly, so I'll probably keep that wide. I'm not going to finish that. I know where it'll go. But right now I'm not going to finish it. I will put in a little bit of green right here. And again, the trick is not to draw, because that's always problematic. But if I've set it up right, I know what color goes in this area, and I should just be able to put that color down. So I've got a warmer color here, a cooler color there, and a much cooler color there. Then I can start putting that reflection in the water. And this is where the fun, you just keep going back and forth. And you can't be in a hurry. This just takes a little bit of time. And in this water, it's always going to be, well, for me, with this still a body water as this is, I'm either going to be working horizontally or vertically right now. I'm not going to do too much angle, because I just want to get this to lay in and be attractive. I'm running out of stuff to say, because at this point I'm just really looking. I'm just trying to make that a nice soft transition. I want this to be pretty. And I want to have some transition here from the purple to the ground, and then I'll come back as it gets a little hard to distinguish. I'll come back with that mixed black again and the tip of this big brush. And I'm just going to drop in and reinforce where that landmass ends and where the water begins. And it's amazing what that little dark will do for our brain to have it be comfortable with what's happening. In almost every case, that should be a series of really strong horizontal pops rather than any angled pops. So that's just going to reinforce where those rocks are, the base of the ground. See how that just anchors the piece? It's really cool the way this works, and it's just a rhythm that you're going to notice. So you should just spend a lot of time on the water, looking back at the land, so you can have some references for this. And again, this is not the finished piece, but it's close enough to get to the point where I should be getting some pretty high contrast in. So I'm trying to get enough to make this interesting, and that's going to have to dry for me to work across that edge. But I'm still working back and forth now here.